Hey everyone, this is Carla R. Jenkins. Welcome to an all new episode of Projectized, the Project Management Show. And in today's show, I'm going to talk about 3 ways you can upskill using project management. So I'm here in the United States, and currently there's over 40 million unemployed people. And the new terms of workforce and getting people to get the skills that they need are upskill and reskill. So I know that I was going to talk about reskill, but I want to first start with upskill. So, per thinkwhy.com website, upskilling refers to teaching employees new skills so that they can thrive in their current position, whereas reskilling means teaching them new skills to do a different job. So, since upskilling is easier because they're still going to stay in their current position. I'm going to talk about 3 ways that you can use project management to upskill yourself or your employees. So the three ways are the triple constraint of scope, cost, and time. So how do you upskill your scope using project management? Well, scope means anything that's inside and outside the project of what you want to do. And when you get laser focused on what you want to do, you crowd out the distractions. So, getting laser focused, you can narrow your scope on your project or your work. That saves you time, that saves you money, because, in the words of Francina Harrison, one of my career coaches, you're keeping the main thing. And when the distractions are outside, that's project exclusion. So that's something that I do want to bring up and bring to your attention of narrowing the scope means that through upskilling means that you keep the main thing, and you focus on that. So the second thing is time. And when you upskill, since I have some new people, I'll do the definition again. Upskilling refers to teaching employees new skills so that they can thrive in their current position. We just discussed scope, and how when you upskill, you can narrow your project scope, because scope is what's included in the project and excluded also in the project. And so by narrowing your scope, you save time, you save money, and you focus on what's important, especially in a challenging time like this when your company has gone from offline to online back to a phase reopening. You're probably going to have a more narrow scope because you're going to test what's now working when you return back from online to offline and in-person things. So now number 2 is time or schedule. How do you upskill your time? Once again, by taking assessment of your current position, what's currently out there, and if anything has changed. In project management, we call that variance analysis. And variance analysis is comparing what was planned versus what was actually happening. Why do you want to do variance analysis as it comes to time? Well, we have another thing called the Pareto principle, which is the vital few and the trivial many, or the 80-20 rule. So 80% of anything is attributed to 20% of either your customers, your costs, your problems, anything. It's a rule, and it's called Pareto efficiency. As it pertains to upskilling and time management, when you prioritize and find what's important, then you can shift and be able to be in a situation where you can just focus your time, your people, and your resources towards completing all of the tasks that you need to do. So that's how project management can help you upskill your time. And then the third reason is cost. And when you upskill and you teach new skills to their current position, you're doing what's current. And when you're doing what's current, in addition, it's timely, but it also saves money. So, for instance, take that you were in a company where you were in person, offline, and then you had to shift online. And so you had to learn Zoom, you had to learn online communication tools. And now that you're doing phase reopening, you've learned that some of your customers want to be able to be in a situation where they can have the online delivery. So, give an example. Say, for instance, you you worked at Macy's. So you worked at Macy's and you were a store manager and you were dealing with the inventory. Well, now you were moved offline and you saw that people had more of a preference of doing online shopping since the stores were closed. Now that you're doing a phase reopening and you're responsible for the inventory of the stores, maybe people would still like to go in, but they would do order pickup. So they would order online and pick up in the store. And by being able to obtain that new skill of doing Zoom or any type of online work as it pertains to retail, it makes you more effective. So, this episode of Projectized, 3 ways to upskill using project management. The 3 ways are schedule, scope, and time. As I do a recap with scope, remember project scope is what's inside the project, included as well as excluded, and narrowing your scope when you upskill by focusing on a narrow scope. It saves you time and money, but it also keeps the main thing the main thing. Regarding schedule and upskilling, I mentioned variance analysis on how you compare what's planned versus what's actually happening. And I gave an example of how you've gone from offline in person to online to back to a phase reopening, and how by prioritizing on what's important, that you save time, you save money, and you're focusing more on your customer. And then the third way to upskill using project management is cost, specifically when you're focusing on what your current needs are, to save money, to save time, and to stay within scope. And I gave another example on how if you say you were the store inventory manager at Macy's and that closed down, and you were forced online and you learned the online distribution process, and then during phase reopening, you learned that a lot of the people like buying online, and instead of just shopping online, they probably will order online and pick up through the store, which is a hybrid. That's something that you wouldn't have learned if you didn't do Zoom and you didn't learn about the online inventory process. So those are the 3 ways to upskill using project management. I always shout out people who are live. So since I went around robin for Periscope, YouTube Live, now I'm doing an Instagram Live. So I would like to thank Tunde and A Richards 44 for watching me live on Instagram Live. And you can catch me on Projectized Mondays through Fridays, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Periscope, YouTube Live, and Instagram Live. And I'll